Hello, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Camille DeVille. Please hit subscribe, like, and ring notifications so I can see you every Sunday here. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're at. I have a question. When, if ever, is it okay to take justice into your own hands if it means protecting a child from other harmful people, criminals? We're going to be going over that today as we deep dive into Jason Vukovich, the Alaskan Avenger. Jason's story is talked about a frick ton, okay? And there's a lot of misinformation. Babies, he did not use a hammer to beat all these men, okay? Also, he didn't use the sex registry offender thing to find the men either. We're gonna get to those facts in just a bit here. Let me start though with who is and was Jason. So long story short, Jason did assault pretty badly three grown men who were convicted child abusers. And then he was sentenced for 28 years, 5 suspended and 5 on parole. He would be arrested at the age of 42 in 2016 in Anchorage, Alaska, where he was born on June 25th, 1975. Y'all should check out the phone interview that the Unforbidden Truth Podcast put out. It's on YouTube and also the podcast. A lot of my information came from there. It's pretty cool to hear Jason's side of the story. So Jason and his brother Joel were born to their parents, and around the age of 4, the parents got divorced. They were devout Christians. They were doing missions. When they came back from mission, they decided to split up for whatever reason, and biological birth dad dude signs over his rights, and about 6-7 months later, mom remarries to Larry Lee Flynn. And then now that's their dad. They also devout Christians in this church, which was very extreme Christian church and actually is rumored and or was founded as a cult. And the church was all about divine authority, and your parents have divine authority, and anyone in this church has divine authority, and the way we say it is the way it goes. So how confusing is that for a child, okay? What I'm trying to say is what ends up happening is Larry abuses the crap out of both those boys. Physically, psychologically, and even sexually, okay? And then when the church found out about it, after some time, they dismissed it essentially, and they were like, oh, well, your parents are under divine authority and you need to forgive your father and move on. They were even at a church service. They were required, the boys, to go like 2-3 times a week with the family. And Jason remembers them preaching how to discipline your child to inflict the most pain and leave the least amount of evidence. What the fuck? So yeah, I mean, that's what the family did. There'd be days that the boys couldn't sit in class because they were so wounded and in pain. Nowadays we got mandated reporters, so hopefully they're reporting, but back then I guess nobody freaking noticed or cared. So freaking sad. And Jason's mom allowed all this to happen. She was made, well, she could see it, but she's also made privy to it. She's also made privy to their late night prayer sessions that Larry started with the boys, where he would go in and touch the boys' privates and things that he should not have been doing, alongside beating the brakes off these little kids for no freaking reason with 2x4s, belts, you name it, really vicious stuff. And mom just let it happen. And it was speculated maybe she was abused too. No, she was the queen bee of the house apparently, and both of them were messed up in the freaking head and then super following this cult-like religion thing. So she allowed it, and Jason has asked, well, he's talked to her a couple times. Like, he felt like they were close when he was young. In hindsight, he's like, this is a really sick relationship. That should not have happened. What mother allows that to happen? She to this day has not apologized, acknowledged, given a reason why. None of that. And she stayed with Larry till his dying freaking breath. Ugh. To both y'all. Jason, due to the trauma he had gone through, doesn't have really any memories so prior to 12 years old. So that's all been told to him, but he does remember the abuse. His first good memory would be at 12 years old doing the paper route, being alone. He's always been an early riser, and he'd go out to his paper route, not in that crazy household, just alone, outside in Alaska, doing his thing. His first worst memories would be that of being abused. And at age 13, he did come to his mom after him and Joel were like, okay, who's going to tell? Okay, we both don't want to tell. We're both scared, and they go and tell, Jason goes and tells the mom. And do you know what she does? You sit right here till your dad comes home and you tell him what you told me. And then he had to sit there, wait. Larry comes home. He explains, okay, this is what you've done. And specifically about the assaulting, private shit, stuff, whatever. Anyway, specifically about the assaults. And Larry was dismissive and was like, no, I was just checking on the boys' maturity, if they were maturing properly. What? No, that's like the most random excuse. Mom just didn't want to hear it, and Larry just didn't give a frick. So yeah, that was the end of that. The church did find out about it, and they told the boys, like, same thing like I said earlier, like, they're under divine authority. You need to forgive him and just, this is God's will. Just move on. Somehow the church, like I said, found out, but you know what they did? Because this actually did go to court. And his dad was charged with second-degree child abuse. The church paid for the dad's lawyer. Then he was charged, like I said, and got 3 years suspended. So that means he didn't have to go to jail. He had to go on probation and register as a sex offender as long as the probation lasted at that time. But he never served a day in jail. And then they sent his butt right back home. No therapy for the children, no CPS workers or anything like that coming to check on them. Everything just continued like nothing ever damn happened. This would be the same courtroom that Jason would be convicted and sentenced to 28 freaking years. 5 suspended, 5 on probation, but 28 freaking years for assaulting 3 dudes and robbing them because they were messing with kids. So he's got 28 and he's spending a lot of time. He's still there right now. But his own dad got 3 years and didn't even see a day in a jail cell. What? Ooh, that was a high note there. High note. Good note. So from junior high on, Jason would be homeschooled, which actually was a good thing because he could go work out of the town for months at a time and then come back, bang out his freaking homeschooling for a few months, work at the local grocery shop bagging, and that kind of thing. His brother, Joel, did run away with a girlfriend. He had explained to her what had been going on in their life for all these years, and they got the heck out of town. Well, that ended up happening a couple years later with Jason. He met a girl. They decided, we're getting the heck out of town. At that time, you didn't need all this stuff you need now to get a plane ticket. So he gets back in touch with his brother, and they fly out to him. I think it was Washington, and they try to start their lives anew. Now he still is under the age of 18, and his parents aren't giving him, Social Security, birth certificate, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if he would have a photo ID at that point, but he couldn't get any of that. So he right away starts a job as a telemarketer, and boss man comes on payday and he's like, hey dude, like, all good, got your check here, but I can't give it to you without a Social Security and a photo ID. And this starts Jason's criminal lifestyle moving forward. Starving, can't get the dang paycheck, can't go back home to all that craziness. So he gets on his $400 little motorcycle and he's like, gosh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? We're starving, we need to eat, like we can't do this, I can't get a paycheck, He sees a health club, he's like, I need to go somewhere where people leave their stuff and aren't watching it and get us some dang money to eat. I'm not advocating, by the way, for thieving and stuff. I'm just giving you the story here. So yeah, he did get in there. He said, let me take a day pass to check out the gym. Well, he went straight to the lockers. A handful of lockers in, he opened one, and lucky for him, there was $1,000 in there. Sad for the guy that, had the money stolen, but there was $1,000. So he takes it back. They got money to eat, and that's where he's like, dang, I'll do this. Eventually, as an adult, he was able to get jobs, and he did. He kept different jobs throughout his lifetime. Carpenter, this, that, the other, but was living outside his means and actually did get in trouble multiple times and serve some time, anywhere from like 3-4 months to a few years, for credit card fraud, for what is that word, forgery, like check signing when it's not your crap, that stuff. So he was living a life of crime, which I don't condone, but I'm just giving the backstory until he gets back to Alaska as an adult, actually in 2016. So gets back to Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska, where he was born, and maybe that triggered him. And he had lived this criminal lifestyle and stuff. So he gets there, and pretty quickly, as I'm going to show you here, he didn't use the dang sex offender registry to find these dudes that he was attacking. He did get wind through like underground, what do you call it, gang community, that these men were still offending and had offended before. So then he would use the online registry to find addresses, previous convictions, and he wanted to send a message. You mess with kids, you're gonna get up, okay?
If you don't know who this is, it's Jason Vukovich. He's my brother. That's my other brother, Joel. Jason is serving 23 years for assaulting 3 pedophiles. There's a whole backstory behind it. If you don't know who he is, look him up. But I thought I'd tell you guys a quick story. So the 3 pedophiles, right? Well, first of all, he did not, and the news and everybody else and the memes, this meme even, says that he got the names from the sex offender registry, which is untrue. He did not get the names from the sex offender registry. He got their information from the sex offender registry, okay? He got their names from like the underground gang community, being reported by individuals that these people are reoffending. And, you know, gang communities don't snitch on each other. They don't call the cops. They handle stuff themselves. It's just a general rule. So Jason took it upon himself to go and try to handle it himself. So that being said, he did go, when he went to search their names, he found a lot of these guys already were reoffending. They were already registered sex offenders, okay? So the second guy that he assaulted was on the registry already for child pornography. Okay, I don't know what they block out in here, but so anyways, when he goes to that man's house, there are 2 girls that he takes with him, 2 women who had previously been abused themselves. Now, one girl, unbeknownst to Jason, does record a cell phone video of him slapping the guy around, and I've seen the video. I actually have a copy of it. I have not released it yet. He slaps the guy. He talks about the kids and that he owes to the kids, and just there's a lot. Well, you can hear her. I can't watch this anymore, and she stops the video. I have an interview with this woman, and I have it recorded as well. She said, Angelina, it was like a movie. She said, after I ended that video, I went into his bedroom to rummage around for any belongings, you know, valuables. And I went to his closet, and there was flannel shirts hung up and in the closet. And I reached over and I slid those flannel shirts to the side to look in his closet to see if there were any valuables. And there was a wall full of child porn. She said it was like a movie. And of course, this guy didn't get busted for that because it was days later that they ended up catching Jason. He did not report the break-in to the police, none of that. Only after the 3rd guy, after Jason was caught and the 3rd guy came out, did the other 2 come out. So anyways, just showing you right there, they were reoffending, which is why he was in their house.
So let's get into his crimes that he is currently serving all this time for. He would attack and be convicted of Charles Albee, Andreas Barbosa or something, and Wesley Demarest. They don't matter in my opinion, but they were the guys. Collectively, one man was convicted of R-wording his own daughter, which would then result in a child, so his grandchild, and he was raising his grandchild with his daughter, who he R-worded. That dude got 2 years and some change for what he had done. One of them was convicted of molesting his 10-month-old granddaughter and still actively a youth music leader. Like, why are you around kids? What the is going on? He got a 3-year prison sentence. And another, or the other guy, the youngest, I know it's the youngest out of these 3, he was arrested for child pornography or pornography, whatever the heck you want me to use on here. I also remember that he kidnapped, but I couldn't find any verification on that. He kidnapped somebody. That could be a child or otherwise, I don't know. And he got 1 year in prison and 1 suspended. Jason got 28 years. These guys got all, okay, so what Jason ended up doing is he initially pleads not guilty to these charges when he gets caught. And we'll get into that in a second, what he did, how he got caught. But he initially pleads not guilty. And then he makes a deal to say he's guilty if they knock off some of these charges. So like 12 to 18 charges they were able to take off and then still sentence him with this time. Now, he wrote a letter to the newspaper asking for a deal with the prosecutors, being like, I will do all the time that all those guys did and or should have done that they were sentenced to, including the 3 years that my dad was supposed to do and never did a day for. So that's about 9.5 years. I'll do that. That seems fair. I should pay for my crimes, but let's make it make sense. And they laughed it off. They're like, we're sending a message basically to Alaska that you don't go vigilante. You don't go do stuff on your own. We're making the rules here and you're not allowed to do that. And Jason took from that like, oh, just another mind F all his life. Raised in this God-loving Christian home, and then all this stuff's allowed to happen, and all the adults in his life are telling him like this is okay and forget it, and his dad don't serve a day in jail, and then these guys got these little sentences, and then he offers, okay, I'll do the time, like I get it was wrong, but again, make it make freaking sense. And they just laugh it off like, anyway, as he said, in Alaska, it's okay to hurt kids, but it ain't okay if you hurt the people that hurt them. Like, what the frick? I totally agree with him being frustrated. I'm freaking pissed. That's why I'm making this video. Right before we get into the attacks that are known that he was convicted for, no, he's not the hammer guy. I mean, he is referred to as that, but he had a hammer on him in the second attack. He didn't use it. The third attack, he did use it. First dude was the Albie guy. Jason knocks on his door on June 24, 2016, pushed the 6-year-old dude inside and ordered him to sit on the bed. Jason slapped Albie across the face several times and told him how he had found him, and then like robbed him and left. But 2 days later, now we're going for the second dude. He used the same method to enter Andreas Barbos' home. He appeared at 4 a.m. and brought 2 female accomplices who I guess had been through similar trauma as him, so maybe that's why they were there. One of them actually was filming, which Jason said he didn't know, and then whether that's true or not, I don't know. But she was filming. There's a video somewhere. I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's leaked, but it's out there. Yeah, so he threatened the 25-year-old with the hammer, but only decided to punch him in the face before allegedly warning he would bash his head in with the hammer. Dan, him and the girls theft, take shit from the house, and even his truck, actually. What the heck? But yeah, that did happen. And that wasn't even reported until the third thing happened, and these other 2 dudes came out and were like, yeah, he got me too, okay. So thirdly, germ arrest, who was actually the most severely injured, and the hammer was used on. Jason gets to his house at 1 a.m., knocks on the door. Of course, he's not let in. He breaks in, and then he wasn't aware of it, but it seemed like he was running like a bed and breakfast kind of situation. So this couple comes out as Jason's going towards Wesley's bedroom, however you say his stinking stupid name. And he's like, this has nothing to do with you, go back in there, da, da, da. So they do. So he thinks they called the cops. That actually makes sense with the timeline. Another report would say like the victim guy, germ arrest, he called the cops when he came to. But yeah, Jason literally was like, boom, struck him in the face. And then he's like, I'm an avenging angel. I'm going to get justice for the people you freaking hurt. Well, without freaking, I just get too into it. So Jason steals his laptop and he fled. I guess unfortunately Wesley was left with like super bad brain damage. He has trouble to this day forming sentences, kind of like me. Your girl Camille has trouble sometimes. No, I'm just playing. He actually did have some real trauma, which I think Jason feels pretty badly about. I don't. I'm like, thank you, Jason. But yeah, so the guy lost his job even, and now, or at the time of when all this was reported, now he's in his 70s, and he's like, yeah, Jason got what he wanted. He basically ruined my life. So, and I'm not sad to hear that again. I'm not sad to hear it. And he was caught because someone called the police, be it the Wesley or the couple or whatever, and he gets caught at the end of the street, a little up the way. Cops start swarming. There must have been some thing going on where they thought there was someone out there, you know, vigilante style, attacking these child predators, because there was cops that night telling him like, did you get him good, dude? Da, da, da. Not all of them, but a couple of them at least were like, did you get him good? And he's like, oh, what the heck? At this moment, I think it seems like he just felt like, okay, this part of my life is over. He kind of alludes to like, if you do something enough times, you get caught. I'll say that kind of thing. And I was like, that's cool, because I know what you're trying to say without saying it. Like, maybe, possibly, you might have gotten other guys and whooped their butts to heck and back, and they deserved it. So that's that as far as what he did, how he got in trouble. Anyways, imagine what a mind F, as Jason calls it, as I may have even said already in this video at this point, all of this is. Growing up in the household he did, with the parents he did, justice wasn't served. Justice not really served for these child abusers. And then, you know, it leads him, or he decides to live a criminal lifestyle, and then it makes him violent, like towards the kind of people, which is the kind of people that hurt him. I get it. I do. Ew. And guess what? Shortly before his trial, there was a vigilante like Facebook group because all these people's cars and stuff went missing and stolen. And a sea of people came out to that court date, like a week or something, like very soon before Jason's, to support this cause because people's stuff was being stolen. So the community really got upset and really showed out, like halls filled, courtroom filled, all that stuff. And then Jason's trial comes, his brother's there, his attorney, and I think like one other person. I don't get it, you guys. I'm not going to take off work and make a big fuss unless I'm trying to support something I really care about. Yes, I care about my car, but then can't you care about the children? I mean, it's perpetuating. It's just showing all in this community how much, if you hurt kids, you're fine, but don't steal our cars though, because everybody's going to roll through. And that freaking hurt Jason to not only get sentenced in the same courtroom where his dad was and actually didn't have to do any time, but Jason does, but then also to know that like the whole freaking town essentially shows up for car theft, but not for someone who was trying to protect children. And you know what's good is he did. Like, whoa, look at that. Whoop. I think he did. I think that he saved at least one, if not many, children from these guys reoffending, at least for some time. So, I mean, hopefully, I want to believe that. As I stated, Jason is okay with the fact that he had to serve time. He is not out here advocating for vigilante activity, justice. As far as regrets go, it kind of goes back and forth. It just kind of goes back and forth, you know? He does say that the man that stole his childhood also stole his adulthood, and that's so fucking frustrating. A message he would like the world to know is kids will give you signs if they're being hurt, so look out for them. And seek inner peace rather than doing like what he did. As for his prison time, he's doing the best he can in there, and he's done a lot of education. He already had a diploma and a GED, but he's gotten several certificates for stuff that he's continued to learn. So that's cool. He seems spiritual. I wouldn't say religious, but spiritual, and has a good head on his shoulders. I 100% believe if and when he is released, he will not reoffend. like, basically, in his words and also mine kind of mixed together, he's done his part in the world to make a difference, and now he's serving his time for doing those things. So, you know, he's going to move on and live his life. He does have at least a daughter. I think he might have more than one child, but at least a daughter that he really looks forward to being reunited with. He's had a girlfriend or girlfriends on and off during his prison time. It kind of sounds like he's single right now. If you follow his sister Angelina, she's so awesome. She's his advocate. All that's going to be linked down below, and I hope you look at it. You can, there's a podcast, he has a book, there's merch, there's more information on him, there's ways to contact him, there's way to send commissary. He did try to appeal or something of that nature, the sentencing, once he got a PTSD diagnosis, which was, that didn't work. However, he did have a parole hearing this year, 2023, April, and his sister live streamed that. You can also find that on her social medias. And at first we get all excited because our attorney calls and he's like, oh, parole is granted. And she's like, oh my God, chills, woo, woo, woo. Like, I'm gonna be able to see him, and oh my gosh, I gotta get there. How soon he's gonna get out? I'm getting chills literally right now thinking about it. And then it takes this ugly turn. They knocked 5 years off. So he's got, let me find the notes. I'm actually gonna pop it up here right from what she said, and I'll read along with it. Okay, so on mid 2028, 5 years from now, he can get dropped to minimum custody, which would mean he'd be living on a farm, and he can get a job outside of the farm. Visitation is much more often and open. Then with 2 to 3 years, if he's good, he can get out on an ankle monitor, we think. That's the last update I could find. It's from 4 months ago. So go follow her pages for updates. I am now. And hopefully they'll let him out soon. I can't believe he's already done this much time. I just can't. It's outrageous. Jason has a pretty positive attitude, you guys. He said he is a student of the universe and he intends to keep his seat. So I'm super impressed. And he's very self-aware, at least now, you know, and working through all that. And regardless, I'm not saying go out and do vigilante crap or good stuff or bad stuff or whatever. I just want to give a personal thank you. I got really emotional looking into this case, and I want to say thank you to Jason for what you did. And it strikes a chord with me too, because I mean, children as well, but I do a ton of animal rescue, as I've told you guys before. And sometimes I feel that I need to break the law a little bit to make sure that the innocent life involved has a chance to be saved. Can't go too much into that. Anyway, yes. So thank you to Jason, and thank you for everyone for watching. I hope I cleared up some myths. I hope that you guys can write to the governor and, you know, support Jason through the remainder of his time. And like I always say, lock your doors and watch your babies, watch your families, stay safe. Until next week, much love. See y'all.